Hi, everybody. Make sure that everything's on because I tell you, this is breaking news, really breaking news, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It's 12:30, and it's so important for everyone to know. So let's get started. It's. Let's see. Yep, I'm on. Okay, here we are, and I know it's late. I need to go on earlier in the day to reach out to as many people as possible. So if you're listening to this, please share. Please share this right away because this is huge. This is so big. This makes Iran Contra look like child's play. And first and foremost, and it's been confirmed over and over and over again. And even now, you see the old playbook. The the main target here was the American people. I've been saying it's President Trump, and it is President Trump, but it's the American people because they're tampering with the system. They're tampering with our elections. They're tampering with our choices. Our choice is who we elect, uh, and they were trying to, in a very devious way, in a very malicious way, in a very deadly way, a very criminal way, affect the election um, with absolute lies, with absolute, they're monsters. They are monsters, those that are behind this. And, they're going to falsely claim that Patrick Crucius is a white supremacist just so they could paint that on politically a false narrative onto President Trump. They're going to paint this, call Patrick Crucius a hater of, you know, Hispanic people when he absolutely is not, especially when his brother is married to, I think she's uh, a big part of her heritage is Hispanic. And of course, in the federal courthouse, and of course, with all of their connections in El Paso, um, with Michael Mayella Jr., all his connections in El Paso, being the brother in law, right? In the DA's office with Jaime Esparza, with James Montoya, with Priscilla Mata, and in the FBI with Eddie Nieto, with John Morales, and then being at the Walmart cybersecurity in the Walmart. I mean, he's like a three-headed monster. I need to make a meme, the three-headed monster of Michael G. Mayella, the three-headed monster of Michael G. Mayella. He's absolutely a three-headed cybersecurity trained hacker in this whole thing. Thank you, Martha, for coming on this late. And and that's not even what I want to really focus on. But it's really important because the we know that the whole case and Richard's case was all tampered with. Well, did they have the means? Did they have the people? Did they have the motive to tamper, right? Did they have the access to tamper? And absolutely 100%, 200%, 300%, they did. They did. And it's a big three-headed monster. And it's even bigger than that because you have all the others that have access to tamper. And we know in our son's case, and Richard Halliday, the Fort Bliss whistleblower hero, that was exposing whistleblowing on the criminal trafficking there at Fort Bliss, connecting with the cartel tied military in these criminal activities that they were doing, and he was murdered for that. Um, that they absolutely were tampering with his whistleblowing files. Did they have access? Absolutely. They had access through the CID agent Vita Nusa with Leilani Hart. Did they have access in the VA? Absolutely. They had access in the VA with James Hart? Did they have access to weapons and everything like that, to the arms room and that? Yes, absolutely. They had access to that. They had access to the DA's office, to the FBI's, to the county clerks, to um, the Walmart security. They had access, they had people in place. Did they have people in Epic, El Paso, intelligence community? Absolutely, they did. So, did they have on Fort Bliss security? Yes, Thomas Kane. They had access with him. Did they have access with Child Youth Services? Absolutely. Did they have access in the media? Absolutely. Bob Moore, the disgraced Bob Moore, and more. And so, absolutely, the ability to do it, and the motive and the evidence, the mountain of robust evidence that we have, absolutely confirms that this is what was going on. This is what is going on, and that Richard's case is very intertwined with these same people, from Leilani Hart to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia to Joe Spencer to the Mayellas to yeah, the county clerk's office, all of that. It is to Jaime Esparza, to um, Bill Hicks, to all of them. It is all like together, cartel tied. And so let me walk through what we have discovered, um, and we've, been collecting this evidence. Remember, we have audio of Joe Spencer confessing that when he met Patrick Crucius 2 days after the Walmart shooting, okay? That means the 5th. So that's August 5th of 2019. We have Joe Spencer on audio saying that he went to the jail and met with Patrick Crucius 2 days after the shooting. Okay? That puts him at August 5th. That means that he was already assigned to the case. Joe Spencer was already assigned to the case on August 5th, 2019. That is wow. Okay. So let's walk through that. Okay. So the shooting was on August 3rd, 2019. Patrick Crucius surrendered twice. Okay. He surrendered the second time to a Hispanic DPS officer. We know his name. And the DPS officer must have been so nervous that here he has this young man coming up to him, putting his hands up and saying, "I am the shooter." And yet the DPS officer is so nervous that he forgets normal protocol. He forgets to read Patrick Crucius his Miranda rights. Okay? This is all well established. It's not something I'm making up. It is right there. Okay? It is on video. It's absolutely confirmed. Why? Why? Patrick Crucius was very compliant. He was very clean, so it wasn't shocking. Like, if you have this close range kind of mass murder look to you, right? Where you are just covered, right? You're covered in throw up, you're covered in sweat, you're covered in other people's red fluid. You're covered, right? Because you're like maybe even material from people's bodies, right? You're covered. You're looking like Carrie, right? You're looking like, and I don't know if people are as old as I am, that look. That would, of course, maybe shaken up a police officer or a Texas Ranger, right? That would have shaken them up, and they would have been like, "Oh my gosh," and get everyone around and this and this. And that's what you would expect from what was described to people that happened in the Walmart, that this is what they were telling us Patrick Crusius did. Yet there was no evidence. Even his shoes were clean. And so here you have this very clean, very compliant, hands up, coming to this police officer. And the police officer is so nervous that he forgets to follow normal protocol and doesn't even read him his Miranda rights. Okay. So they arrest him because there is active shooter, because there is probable cause, right? And they have to detain him. They have to arrest him, they have to detain him. They get to the jail. They have Patrick Crusius, and we have Joe Spencer on audio from the very beginning telling that Patrick Crusius is not in the right mind. He has a broken brain. He has been diagnosed since he was born. I don't think that. I think it was maybe from infancy, not when he was born. But, I don't know. But I know it was very early in childhood. I know the whole schizo, um, what is the word? It's late. It's like all his mental health conditions, schizoaffective, right? Schizoaffective disorder, where you see hallucinations, your paranoia, a lot of paranoia with it. Then plus on top of that, the severe autism. We know he was banging his head. We know that he was hitting himself in special education. We know that his parents were told that he was so bad that they should not have let him live when he was an infant, um, when he was young as a child, right? And going through this, we know that's all on record. We have Joe Spencer saying that Patrick Crusius has a broken brain, that he is hallucinating in the jail. We have Joe Spencer saying he met with Patrick Crusius in the jail, that he is, not right in his head, right? That's not me. That's not, you know, taking it from witnesses or whatever. This is his defense attorney. This is his defense attorney that we have on audio saying he met with Patrick Crusius 2 days after. That means he was already assigned. He cannot meet with Patrick Crusius unless he was assigned. And I don't even like the assigned, appointed, because he was handpicked. He was handpicked. They bypassed normal protocol for even giving a defense attorney. And wait till you hear this. It is so obvious because we have all the evidence now, right? When Patrick Crusius was arrested and detained, and Joe Spencer at 5:42 on the morning before sunrise. Is that before sunrise in El Paso? I think it was August. So, but you're talking about at dawn, and this is a Sunday, 5:42 on a Sunday, early morning at dawn, a.m. The application for appointed counsel is approved. The stamp is on it. I didn't make that up. The stamp is on it. August 4th at 5:42 a.m. Okay? Now, you're talking about a capital murder case. You're talking about a confession. You're talking about now they say, oh, he waived his Miranda rights, right? They didn't read it. The cop was nervous, the officer. Now they say he waived his Miranda rights. You're talking about no income, no expenditures, nothing, zero, zero, zero. I'm going to stamp it for approval. It's going to be notarized. This is an affidavit. Patrick Crucius is going to sign it. Pat C. Now, Joe Spencer got what he demanded. He got what he demanded on August 4th, 2019. And he said on audio, I told the judges, the court, that I would not take this case unless I got an open checkbook. I'm not going to do it for nickels and dimes. I want an open checkbook. So when was that? At 5 a.m.? Was it on August 3rd? What the heck? What? It is so wow. Wow. The corruption. Joe Spencer is the most corrupt defense attorney in El Paso. Hands down. Hands down. And he comes on to the case on August 4th and meets with and absolutely Penny Hamilton. Penny Hamilton, right? She's the one that has to bypass the normal protocol and say, oh yeah, we need Joe Spencer. And then she appoints Stevens, right? Mark Stevens. And then Mark Stevens, they put on like this little show. Mark Stevens is like, oh yeah, we have to bring in Joe Spencer. But Joe Spencer already confessed that he was already meeting with Patrick Crucius. He was already on the case. That he was already discussing the open checkbook demand. Meaning, hello, that's you, that's me, that's because this is a federal and a state case. This is taxpayers' money. And was there a case review that was paid for on the 4th? Who wrote that? Who had to charge for that? It had to be Joe Spencer. Because Mark Stevens didn't come on until around the 7th, right? So Joe Spencer was first. And then came Mark Stevens. And that was all, and the judge was Juarez Baril, right? And then, in September, she recused herself, and then Sam Medrano came in, right? So this is, yeah, this is just the outline of what I'm about to tell you. because the real important information is about the competency of Patrick Crusius, because our laws protect the those that are not competent, right? Our laws protect those that are not the weaker person, someone that's not competent, a handicapped person. We need to, our laws, because we don't want them to be taken advantage of, right? We don't want them to be taken advantage of. And so our laws protect those people. When Patrick Crusius, who has this long history of not being competent, he was not competent in kindergarten. He failed kindergarten. He was not competent in special education. He had to be set aside. He was not competent all through growing up, so much so that when they were trying to get help, the people trying to help were saying, maybe you shouldn't have let him live when he was a child. That's not me saying that. That was a report in the hearing by Loretta Lynn Hewitt. I was just, and I have it on audio, I have it on video, and it is shocking. It's so shocking, because that means that, because I've worked with these children. I've worked with severe autistic that are, you had to bandage their arms up because they would bite their hands and their arms till they bled. They would bang their heads. You had to put a helmet on them. They would bang their heads in frustration. Um, and and they would also not be potty trained. They would not be potty trained, and then um, they would not be able to speak. They were very, it was, they were not competent to purchase a weapon. They were not competent to live by themselves. And it was heartbreaking. The parents were absolutely, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. When you have a 9-year-old that is still in diapers and they're getting older and older and older, it's heartbreaking, especially when you have to bandage them up, especially when you cannot connect to them. And this is, and I don't know how bad Patrick Crusius is, but you have Loretta Lynn Hewitt. You have Joe Spencer saying he has a broken brain. You have Loretta Lynn Hewitt saying it's so bad that the parents were told they shouldn't have let him live. I mean, that, to say something like that, he had to have been pretty bad. And there are very functional individuals with autism. I've taught them too in my homeschooling. In my homeschooling groups, I've taught functioning autistic individuals. No problem. It's a different kind of relationship because, of their special needs, but you can do it. But we're saying that it has been reported that Patrick Crusius is not competent for even that. And here he is. They're saying that he's like a Rambo and he can walk away clean and he can do it in 1 or 2 minutes without any training. He's naturally like this. And that, then he just surrenders to a Hispanic officer, and his family is in the federal courthouse. His family is in the DA's office. His family is at Walmart cybersecurity. His family is in the FBI office. But yet he doesn't have any connections to El Paso. And Joe Spencer gets his honeypot he gets his open checkbook, he gets his gravy train, he gets his cow that he can milk. I don't know what else. He gets his golden goose, um, golden a goose that lays golden eggs. He gets it, meaning he can charge taxpayers um, loads of money. And the thing is, in Texas for a capital case, you have um, maximums. 15,000 to 25,000 maximums. This was all bypassed by San Madrano, right? Probably by Judge Burrell, because they're the ones that stamp the approval, and I'm maybe Penny Hamilton. But these judges stamp the approval for these charges. And so he gets open checkbook, and now we have in tens of millions of dollars. Tens of millions of dollars for delay, seal and delay, gag order, seal and delay. Oh, I broke the gag order. Okay, let's lift the gag order. But, you have people that should be coming out saying all kinds of things right now. And something is not right in the air. But I will tell you this, from where we stand, there's justice in the air. And when justice is in the air and people aren't willing to talk, silence means consent to what's going on, the crime, right? Justice is in the air. And you have people that, well, besides Joe Spencer, who keeps confessing, right? Confessing that he met in the jail with Patrick Crusius on day 2, and that he was not competent. He confessed to not being competent. Okay, so that's laying a next layer of information. The main breaking news is that never ever did anyone, much less Joe Spencer, demand a competency test for Patrick Crusius. So, and yes, there's evidence that has been sealed. Like, well, there's stuff that we're getting told that it's like, wow, because and I don't know. I don't know if Patrick Crusius is connected to Fort Bliss. I don't know. But there's, so if you know something, if you know he is connected to William Beaumont, if you know he's connected, please let us know. Because that kind of information coming in, it needs to be corroborated. But I can tell you this, never a competency test from Joe Spencer. And he was absolutely obligated by Texas law when he went into that jailhouse and said in public that Patrick Crusius was incompetent. He didn't understand what had happened. He has a broken brain. He's not mentally well, he's mentally ill. He's not a racist, he's not a white supremacist. He should have absolutely had him tested for competency, which is not the same. This is something, when you look it all up, it's not the same as a mental health evaluation. The competency test is to evaluate if Patrick Crusius was competent to even confess. Was Patrick Crusius even competent to waive his Miranda rights? Was and is Patrick Crusius competent to stand a trial? Is he competent? It's a little, it's not the same as a mental health evaluation. And we have Joe Spencer, you have an individual, you have Pat C confessing, I am the shooter. You have Pat C, so we're told, waiving his Miranda rights. You have Pat C signing an application that's fraudulent. Clearly, it's fraud. Clearly, it's a crime because he had expenses. He bought a weapon. He bought a tactical electronic earmuffs. He bought ammunition. He bought gas. He had a car. He had internet. He had a computer. He had a phone. He had living. He had to eat. He bought an orange. And yet, the application that he signed for appointed counsel was 0000. That means they bypassed any kind of vetting. They bypassed any kind of investigation into his finances, into his family's finances. They absolutely that was that form is huge. It is total fraud. Total fraud. Not because I said so, because all the evidence says so. And that application that was stamped as a notarized affidavit in this case that allowed an open checkbook, millions of dollars could not have been taken from the taxpayers if it wasn't for that document. That one document. Was Pat C competent to sign that fraudulent document? Because that's a crime if he was. Was he competent to confess, I am the shooter? Was he competent to waive his Miranda rights? Was he competent to sign the application for appointed counsel, putting the taxpayers on the hook for his defense, millions of dollars, giving Joe Spencer his open checkbook, his gravy train, his goose that lays the golden egg, and having uh you know such greed to charge, to delay the case and charge taxpayers millions, tens of millions of dollars for an individual that he knows is not competent to stand trial. And what does that mean? That means he has to go into another agency's hand, right? The emergency health network, or, he has to, I'm doing this all by memory. He can't be in Joe Spencer's hand if he's not competent. Clearly he wasn't. Clearly he's not. Joe Spencer says he's not. Loretta Lynn Hewitt says he's not. His, her notebooks of all the interviews that she did says he's not. Where's Michael Mayella? Where is Brian Crusius? Where is his family? Where is his twin? He's a twin. Where is Alexis Mayella? She's medical. She knows. Where is, please God, let it not be that Fort Bliss that William Beaumont knew to. Yes, I posted up Thank you, Olga. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your love and your prayers. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you so much. And please share this. And I will, I put up the audio, I put up and I've shared all these audios of Joe Spencer. And, the big part of that audio that I shared was when he said that you know he didn't think that he killed one or two people, right? He didn't know what he did, because that shows that he's not competent, right? This is the confession. But right before that he says, um, you know 2 days after the shooting, I went in and talked to him, and he didn't know. He didn't know. He wasn't aware. And yet Joe Spencer is the same defense attorney that facilitated the pleading of Patrick Crucius to 90 hate crimes and weapons charges for 90 life sentences, which, if you add it, it's almost 7,000 years. Now, you know, um, okay, there's the problem is there's no due process. There's no following the law. There's no getting to the bottom of this, because if whereas many witnesses say that there were, and we have it, and I wanted to share what we have with the dispatches, because we have the dispatches audio saying that there's these guys in black with weapons, so the dispatches, that's what I wanted to concentrate. But so much information is coming in and corroborating that, you know, Joe Spencer 2 days afterwards. It makes you wonder, when did he ask? Not ask, he was demanding. When did he say to the court? Um, and he wasn't saying to the court, he said to Sam Madrano and um, Judge Guadarrama. So I said to Judge Madrano and Judge Guadarrama that I was, if you want me on this case, I'm not going to have nickels and dimes. I'm not going to nickel and dime it. I want an open checkbook. Okay. If I'm going to do this. So when did he say that? Like, at 5 a.m. in the morning, he's calling them up. 2 a.m. in the morning, 11 o'clock, or was it that night before 7, when, the day of the shooting, he's getting on the phone. Well, I'm not going to nickel and dime this. I want an open checkbook. Now, I mean, was it before that? That's that's a good question. I think that's a great question. And it, that is not absurd question, and that's what's terrible. That is, when you see this case on a board, that is not an absurd question, because the arrest warrant, right, was not until August 9th, 2019. The arrest warrant, the arrest charge. So that warrant was for the charge of capital murder. But that didn't happen until August 9th, 2019. So I know they have to arrest for probable cause. I understand that. But I also understand this 48-hour thing, that from starting Monday early morning, because the weekends don't count, they have 48 hours that that would put them on the 7th. On the 7th or that night of the 6th, they absolutely have to have an arrest warrant. And they didn't. They didn't have it until the 9th. And they also have to have a competency test because of his his application, which clearly he has some um, and if you've been around individuals with his something like his problems, you know that their motor skills are not good. And you see that in his handwriting, right? You see that in his handwriting, his motor skills. So the motor skills and that, you know, makes you wonder. They need a competency test, and they never did it. Never. And the law also tells them they have to do it, and they didn't. They broke so many laws in these first few days. It's just unreal. And that's why asking um, the broader question, what was this? Because right on day one, when you look at the news, they are, you know, lone shooter. Really? Lone shooter, white supremacist, has this very funky um manifesto, and it's a funky one. I don't know how else to describe it. It doesn't fit the man. Um, so and that's not me. That's you just have to read it. It is it's the craziest thing. Um, it doesn't fit the man at all. And then go to where he's being sentenced. He's like, "Oh, no. No, I'm not a racist." Right? And he's walking the day of the arrest, he's walking to the Hispanic. I don't even know if he really drove because of this van. This safari van, right? This GMC safari van. Uh, and to say he didn't have any connections in El Paso, that is like the biggest bold faced lie. No competency test, when, and everything is so convenient, right? They're so sure at the beginning. Oh, yeah, he's a lone shooter. Oh, yeah, he's a white supremacist. False. Oh, yeah, he confessed. Oh, yeah, he waived his Miranda rights. Oh, yeah. All of this is like slam dunk. And yet, here we are in 2025, and we still need time. Maybe we can't do the death penalty now. Uh, you know, uh, really? After tens of millions of dollars, y'all are just like have your fingers up your nose or something? I mean, it's it is so and you have Joe Spencer confessing, proving over and over again, and we have it on there that Patrick Crucius is absolutely has these severe mental health conditions, and yet never demanded, never did what he was supposed to do under the law, and that means a competency test. A mental health evaluation also would have been nice. A mental health evaluation and a competency. It's not like he's a burglar. This is for a capital murder case where he lets his client, without a competency test, without a mental health evaluation, uh, uh, say, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'm guilty of 90 hate crimes and weapons crimes." But yet at the sentencing, he's like, I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist." Something is so stinky. It's like conspiratorial. It's conspiratorial. So the audios that we have, especially the 2 day, I need to put that one out. Um, and now with the dispatches, y'all need to hear these dispatches. You're going to be like, wow, this was whether you wanted to vote for Trump or not. Our system makes our vote mean something. It makes our election mean something. And our candidates have to campaign, and they have to campaign hard. And it's like, watching this Miss America, these crime TV shows where they have these beauty contestants, and they're just like, wanting to kill one another or whatever because of the competition. I mean, this was brutal. A brutal attack, a false attack during the election cycle. Go back and listen to Beto O'Rourke. Go back and listen to Veronica Escobar. Go back and listen to these unhinged media that absolutely are not reporting the truth. They are absolutely trying to affect politics. And why? Why do they want to affect the politics so bad? They want the trafficking and the cartel tied trafficking that leads to a lot of these contracts, um, and all of this criminal activity that was going on and is going on at the border. It's not about migrants. They use migrants badly. Look at hundreds of thousands of children. Look at the women. Look at even the young men. They use them badly. It's like they're just customers for their trafficking, or they're part of the trafficking. They're not on the side of the migrants because they absolutely were making them criminals on day one when they entered this country illegally. And I'm not saying they were criminals. I'm saying they were promising them things and turning them into criminals instead of using all of that money and advocating for their legal entry and creating so many jobs where you have legal entries, legal green cards, lots of green cards, and the gold cards are coming too. And making them legal coming into this country, free in this country. When you're legal in this country, you're free. You're free to take the jobs you want. When you're illegally in this country, then you have to what? Pay some kind of coyote, or you have to take these jobs and secretly commit another crime by getting a false social security number or whatever. You're just rolling into more and more crime. And then maybe they'll recruit you into the cartel. It's just horrible. And then you might get depressed because of the situation you're in, and then you the substance abuse and other things. It's terrible. And then the debt, because you might be getting bullied by saying, I'm going to turn you in unless you give me some of your money or stuff like that. You can have all kinds of blackmail issues. It's just a horrible situation that they were putting these people in. And, and they have a lot of money. So they could have advocated for a secure border, a really robust economy, so that we can issue a lot more legal entry. And this country's so big, we have so much room. We have so much room. All kinds of people could come in, but they need to be vetted and they need to be treated humanely, meaning legal entry. And that's not what these traffickers, these cartel tied traffickers that, wear suits, y'all. They wear suits. They're not like some thuggy gang member. They wear suits and they're the worst that were doing this political hit job to control uh, the policies for this open border. And they absolutely went absolutely full throttle with the kid trafficking in 2021. Hundreds of thousands, 10,000 at a time. It was bad before then. And then it went full throttle on Fort Bliss, hundreds of thousands. And of course, when you have that kind of trafficking, you have to have weapons, you have to have ammunition, and then of course you have all the substance abuse, and and then you have this organ organ harvesting trafficking, which now is absolutely horror for us. Um, and you have in Mexico these incinerators, crematoriums, camps that they found, what, 6, 7 of them. And and here we have a mass shooting that is so connected to Richard's case, but also um, clearly not what they told us it was, that they totally lied to us. Totally. And I remember talking to Richard about it. Um, totally lied. And he knew it then. So, all the evidence that we have, we are absolutely putting out as fast as we can. But the first thing that we do is we give the agencies and the organization, our institutions, all of this information, because we have to put it on record there that we notified them. And we're absolutely, there's been a deprivation of honest services, right? There's been a deprivation of honest services. We pay them, and Leilani Hart is still walking around. She absolutely needs to be arrested. Joe Spencer should be arrested, absolutely. Should lose his law license with so many others. And that whole case needs to be shut down because, it is a rotten apple. It needs to be shut down, and then they can reevaluate and see what they need to do. Really indict the indicters. Really, um, that's what that. And I posted that up. Indict the indicters, because though it seems like they are really criminal. And I think that the federal case, with Patrick Crucius. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but um, there's a lot of reasons to, uh, you know, revisit the federal case. A lot of reasons. Because, once this case is shut down, because right now they can still charge the taxpayer for these delays in their game that they're playing. And that spigot needs to be turned off. Take away the goose that lays the golden egg. Take away the gravy train. Take it away. It needs to be shut down. And yeah. Any other questions? Um, it's just that timeline, the August 4th, the application, when Joe Spencer came in, that is so damning. That is absolutely so damning. And I hope that everyone shares this with everybody, This is a full weaponization of our criminal justice system. Full weaponization. And taking advantage of taxpayers that are working hard. They don't want to worry and look at all of these cases and how they're being handled or how they're being robbed. They want to live their life. They should be able to trust the system because it's supposed to have all kinds of oversight. But even the oversight, um, they didn't do their job. Because there is oversight to make sure that Patrick Crucius gets his competency testing, and they didn't do their job. And so, where's Doge? It's just they're just thieves. And I don't know about you, but I don't like uh, to be robbed. I don't like to be robbed. So, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And absolutely, we will work very hard to put up all of those audios that we've already released and put those up. And then we're working on more audios to release. I did put some transcripts because I like to do the transcripts first before I release it. And I did put some transcripts about new ones about Joe Spencer saying that Patrick Crucius is not well, and yet he never cared enough to get the competency tests. That means he wanted the confession. He wanted the Miranda rights to be waived. He's a defense attorney, okay? And he wanted the confession and he wanted the Miranda rights to be waived and he wanted that application for appointed counsel. He wanted all of that. He wanted that, and so he knew he would lose the whole case. He would lose everything, all of those millions of dollars that could line his pocket and his car and his vacation house and maybe a trip to Vegas or whatever. He would lose all of that because Patrick Crucius would be transferred to a different authority because he's absolutely special needs. He has special needs. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.